Why, hello there. It is me, Chelsea Rose, also known as Lucid Rose. Hello. Hi. I am rediscovering watercolor. I don't know if you guys know this, but I grew up in Venice Beach, California. And if you know anything about the culture of Venice Beach, you will know that there's a vibrant community of artists that's set up along the strand of Venice Beach, and they sell their art or they play music. And my mom was one of the musicians that played there often. And as a kid, I would hang out, and sometimes I would sit next to her band as they played, and I'd sell watercolor paintings. Sometimes I would even do sand building, sculpting mermaids. One time, my mom carried me down to Venice Beach in a big basket and then played some belly dancing music that I then popped out to and did all sorts of weird shimmying stuff. Made a lot of money. Ended up having to stop because of a nosebleed, but anyway, watercolor painting. That's kind of what I remember most about watercolor, was just playing with it as a kid. And I thought I'd share that story with you. And then beyond that, why am I talking about watercolor? Well, I think it has to do with tea painting. I blame it on tea painting because for months now, I've kind of been taking a break from a lot of acrylic painting, which is stuff I normally do, because I became absolutely 100% obsessed with painting with tea. Yes, tea, like chai tea and hibiscus tea on paper, on mixed media paper. And anyway, while I was painting with tea, I kind of started getting a little, how do you say, sentimental in regards to watercolor. So I went out to the store and I bought some watercolor to experiment with. Let's see, is it in here? No. Oh, it's actually, it's right here. Here it is. This is what I bought. I don't know if you can see this, it's really bright in here. Grumbacher watercolor set. Select opaque Grumbacher set with watercolors. Isn't it pretty? Look at all the colors. Yeah, so I bought that set and I began experimenting with watercolor. Another recent art obsession is quill pen, drawing with a quill pen. So what I've been doing is I've been drawing with a quill pen on mixed media paper, and then on the drawings I don't like 100% or feel like they need something extra, I started experimenting. So here is my first watercolor experiment that I did, I think, last week, and I call it the ironic forest or something like that. I don't know. It's a space lady who is encountering these strange rose bushes that have single eyes, much like herself. She's a cyclops. And she's got this really crazy knife sword thing, and she's like, whoa, back off, creatures. Or is she hacking her way all explorer-y through a new territory, through a new planet, through a new land, a new realm of existence? I don't know. You tell me. But this was my most recent watercolor painting, and I'm really proud of it. Honestly, I was worried. I wasn't going to be able to hack it with the watercolor, you know? But I was pleasantly surprised. Drawing a lot of inspiration from Darktown Sally. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her work. Definitely check it out on Instagram. I don't know if she's using watercolor, honestly, but I just love her palette, her choice, and she inspired this piece in a way with her color choices and how she arranges some of her pieces, and I'm pretty sure she's using watercolor. So but anyway, and a few other artists really. There's one artist locally, her name is Calibri or Heather, and she's great. Calibri Creates. She was in the art battle video, if any of you guys remember that. She won the art battle video. She works in watercolor. There's all these people who are inspiring me, and I decided that I would give it a shot. So this one is all finished. I'll give you some close-ups. Yeah, big roses with eyeballs. And look at her little space outfit. Her little hand back here going, like, warding off. Anyway, I really like the way it came out. I hope you do too, and it's available in my Etsy shop for collection. So check that out. lucidopticlab.etsy.com. Moving along, I did another watercolor experiment, and this time I was brave enough to record myself to show you the process, my process, which is not at all like learned. I'm not very learned. I just kind of experiment. So it's probably your atypical use of watercolor. I think maybe you're not supposed to do it this way. I don't know. It's just my process, and I'm going to share it with you. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. So yeah, I wasn't sure if... So I wasn't in the mood when I was painting this to really talk while doing it. So I'm probably going to just end up doing this as a time-lapse. And this is my voiceover recording for the time-lapse. Sorry guys, I actually did try and talk through the whole way, but I only made it part way, and then like I just was so intent on what I was doing that I stopped speaking for a long time. So so that's why you have a time-lapse instead of real time. This time. Time is an illusion, and so are pants. But anyway, let's go over supplies. Okay, so I am working with a drawing that I did using a quill pen and Higgins Black Magic ink. So that's the base of this drawing, and I'm doing it on Strathmore multimedia paper, which I should forego using from now on because it does not seem to take the water as much as I would prefer, and which is like kind of like a duh thing. Like I should be using watercolor paper to do watercolor. I have watercolor paper. I don't know why I chose to draw this and do this on, but anyway, it actually works okay. It's just it dries fairly flat. It just seems to buckle a lot when you're painting. You'll see what I'm talking about. Anyway, and then I'm using my Grumbacher watercolor set that you just saw. Yeah, and it's let's see, what is the imagery? The imagery is, okay, well, let me start out this way. One of my reoccurring creature lady characters is just one of my creature lady heads with wings. And my wings are kind of loosely wings. They're not like super obvious wings, but they're wings in my spectrum of painting and drawing. They fit into my realm as wings, but I don't know if other people will recognize them as such. But anyway, that is how this drawing started. I drew one of my creature lady faces, and then I added wings on top of her head, and thought, well, maybe I'll draw a few more, like they're all flying in a what is it, a flock? I don't know, something of that nature. But But then I was like, well, actually, I think it might be interesting to actually give this one a full body. Does it make sense that she has wings on her head? Maybe not, but we don't know. She could be in another dimension or another planet, and it might be very useful. Or she's some sort of strange mutant, which I'm all about mutants. I hashtag all of my Instagram with hashtag alien, fairy, mutant, third eye, goddess. Anyway, so it's in that spectrum. So I don't know. You tell me why she has wings on her head. You tell me her story. I'm always interested to hear what people see in my art, because art is up for interpretation. So beyond that, so she ended up having a body, and I gave her a moon scepter, which is pretty much, I totally ripped off Sailor Moon's moon scepter. I have Sailor Moon on the brain. I've been watching Sailor Moon Crystal, the new Sailor Moon Crystal, and it's just I can't help it. I've just got like Sailor Moon seeping out of my pores right now. So she ended up with a moon scepter in her hands, and I'm okay with that. And then I was like, ooh, well, maybe she's some sort of like owl goddess, you know, walking through a dark forest, and, you know, spreading moonlight with her moon scepter. I don't know. So that got me thinking about doing some dark woods for the background, and that was cool. I don't know if we've gotten to that part yet, but anywho, a note about dark woods. I had an interesting conversation with my partner Danny. He had listened to some sort of podcast that I think it was with like Russell Brand and like, I don't know, other people's, and they were talking about their interpretation of what dark forests mean in folktale, which is an interesting topic to me because my artwork is greatly influenced by folktale, and dark woods have come up in quite a lot of my drawings and paintings, and so it's always interesting to hear other people's interpretation of these sort of things. And what was said was that dark woods can be construed as an interpretation of the subconscious mind, and I thought that was very, very interesting. So with that in mind, I think that makes this piece a little bit more interesting as well. That the dark woods are our subconscious, our emotions, our thoughts, our intuition that lie beneath in the dark, and sometimes we wander into that through dreams or daydreaming or through art. That's how I explore my dark forest, I think. And you know, some people explore it through writing. There's all sorts of ways to explore your dark forest. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting. So that was on my mind as I was painting this, definitely. So that had definitely had some influence. Moving on from that, my process also included some other mediums other than watercolor and ink. I also used salt in the watercolor to create interesting texture. And then after I shut off the cameras, after this whole painting process, I still felt like it was missing something, the piece. And I ended up taking my acrylic paints out and doing one last layer on the background with black acrylic. Because I wanted some of the, I needed some foreground in the background, if that makes sense. I needed some darker trees to pop. I think, you know, black, when you pair it next to colors, it kind of pops the colors. And then it also allowed my watercolor tree-ish, foliage, backgroundy stuff to look like it was farther away, since it wasn't as opaque as the black acrylic that I laid down on top. And I think it really kind of framed the piece nicely and popped the colors. So that was my process. And oh, you know, I should show you what the final piece looks like. Here it is. This is it. I haven't pressed it yet, so it has a little bit of wrinkliness to it, but once I press it, it will be all nice and neat. Yeah, here's some detail shots for you. Got all glowy right there. I kind of wanted to make it look like she was glowing. Not only was her scepter glowing, but that she was glowing, and that the light kind of gathered around her. So here's some of the moonlight on the wand, and then it kind of envelops her, kind of surrounds her, and lights up the dark woods a little bit. And there's no fear in her eyes. I think there's more wonder and alertness as she looks out into the darkness of the woods, bringer of light. Beyond that, you can see the dark acrylic that I added along the edge. And I really think that that helped pop the whole piece and finish it. So this is also available in my Etsy shop. Go to lucidopticlab.etsy.com to collect my art. You can also support me on patreon.com/ChelseaRoseArts. Everything helps. Help me walk the path of the growing, evolving artist. It's really appreciated, honestly, like from the bottom of my heart, like sincerely. It just, I'm going to be putting out all of this content, you know, 100% for free, and you know, if you want to support me as an artist, please feel free to do so. I would greatly appreciate it. And that is through just watching my channel, hanging out with me, commenting, liking, subscribing, or going to my Etsy shop and collecting some of my work, or pledging a certain amount of money, whatever you're comfortable with, a month. And that helps me with supplies and just inspiration and all these goals that I have for myself. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and watching my video. More coming soon, more watercolor experiments, definitely more tea painting coming up. I have some very exciting commissions that I will also be exploring, recording as I create, definitely. And I'm just really excited and inspired and happy and feeling really fulfilled at the moment. You know, there are dark moments and there are light moments, and I think, you know, sometimes you really can't appreciate some of the gifts without some of the punishment that the universe dishes out. And I know I'm being like really vague and weird right now, but it just makes sense to me right now, and I think it's like something that can universally apply to a lot of people. And I just want to say love y'all, love you, thank you for the support. Till next time.